It wasn't more than 7 years ago in Garfield County when our spacing went from, evolved from 640 acre spacing to what it is today, which is 40 acre spacing with 10 acre downhole spacing. So we have grown in a very short time to what I believe is a density that makes it difficult to be compatible with rural residential areas and agricultural areas, wildlife migration routes, winter ranges, all of those opportunities that rural Colorado lends to the environment.
Most people here moved here for kind of a peaceful, quiet mountain existence, and certainly it's been a level of industrialization that's left a lot of people with an unease about it, and also a concern about how far it could spread and whether it could affect them someday.
And unfortunately, if they find good gas in your region, you will become a center hub also.
If they strike gas, what do they need to do? That's the most likely thing that they're going to find down there, methane. Well, you can't put wellhead gas straight into a pipeline. It will corrode the insides of the pipeline out and nothing flat, and plus the pumps that are needed to move the gas. So you have to clean up the liquid hydrocarbons in it, the condensates, the sulfuric acid, all sorts of things, and that requires a surface plant called a gas processing plant to get the gas sweet enough and clean enough that you can put it in a pipeline in the national grid.
Quantum physics tells us now that you can't observe a phenomenon without altering that phenomenon. So you don't have to go much further to think about, well, can we scrape this whole thing off and then replant it and call it the same?
The recovery, it depends on what do we want it to be. It will recover. It's not necessarily going to recover to something that we want. If we want is something with a high abundance and high diversity of native plant species, native pollinators doing what needs to be done, and a wide variety of birds and small mammals and large mammals, then that, once we've put up fences and developed around it, then it takes management, it takes purpose, and it takes money, and it takes people, and it takes time. But as far as getting native vegetation back, we don't have people who are pushing that right now, and it's hard to do, and it's going to fail a large number of times, just because you need, the number of people, the intensity of getting the right seed on the ground at the right time, and then hoping that the right precipitation and the right climate conditions happen during the upcoming year. And since you can't count on any of those things, it's hard to make it work. One of the things we're running into out here is you don't know what you're losing because you don't know what's there. And if you don't know precisely what's there, you may have no idea that you've ever lost it, and why.
Anybody that is going to look at developing their land, whether it's a private landowner or whether it's a wildlife refuge or whether it's it really doesn't matter who owns the land. The right thing to do is to inventory what you have on that land, figure out what's the most sensitive, what's the most critical, what's the most unique, figure out what you really want to protect and how you're going to protect it. And for those areas that are incredibly unique or biologically critical, then the easiest thing to do is to try to avoid any development on that area. Anytime you have to deviate from that, then you really have to start asking serious questions. What are the impacts? and how do we mitigate for those impacts. And that management plan should guide your development processes.
And I think one of the critical aspects of any, when you're talking about trying to get together regulations for any type of development whatsoever, I think an important aspect of it is what is the acceptable density of that development to you and to the groups that are engaged in that discussion. I think that's the huge part, is what density are we willing to accept, and what, at that level of density, what are going to be the impact to whatever it is you're concerned about, whether it's natural resources, biological resources, or cultural resources.
All of the refuge, the Sangre de Cristos, all that intact landscape from a coarse filter approach comes out as an important site. And the Nature Conservancy and others have conducted an eco-regional plan that they did exactly that. They asked, where are the sites that need to be incorporated so that we don't lose any of our biodiversity, not just our rare biodiversity, but all of our biodiversity. And the San Luis Valley and the Baca Ranch and the refuge and the sand dunes all come out as a critical part for that coarse filter. Well, the highest protection, without knowing anything else, the easiest, highest protection is to say no to development. That's the safe. There's no question that's the safe way to do it. It's just to say no. We understand that there's a lot of push. So I think you really do need to put together a management plan. You need to put together a group of scientists. You need to put together a group of local citizens and stakeholders and try to get at those answers. Right. And try to get at the answers from the developer's point of view, is how much do they need and how much do we need to protect? And can we take areas and protect them in their entirety so that we don't have to worry about restoration? Well, can we take other areas and let development take place on those? And restoration has to be part of those places, but it is the second choice, not the first choice.
In the year 2000, Rifle was a community of 6,700 people. Today, we're right around 9,000. The state demographer has done a study of our area. Our community has indicated that by the year 2025 to 2030, we will be a community of between 30 and 40,000 people, because of primarily the energy extractive industries that are in the area. It's an onslaught of workforce, both for the primary industry, which is the extractive industry, and secondly, because of the ancillary businesses that have come in to support in the ancillary workforce. For example, I mean, with new population, you have to have new teachers, you have to have new hospital employees, you have to have new police force, new policemen, you have to have new fire people, you know, so all of the business, you have to have new people in the grocery stores. We're growing, and we're growing rapidly. Our infrastructure is taxed to the max. We're looking at, in the city of Rifle right now, between $67 and $68 million worth of infrastructure needs in the next 5 years. And it's because of the new increased population. The infrastructure is funded by us, the city of Rifle.
Severance taxes given back to local communities based on, right now, where the employees live, where the employees that are working for the industry live. So if they don't live in Crestone, and none of them do, Crestone won't get any money. If they don't live in Saguache County, they won't get any money. Nothing. They will have to sustain the impacts, but they won't get any money.
The industry's contributed to hospitals and college expansions and so forth. So there's a lot of wealth, but then there's also a question, well, how much of that was needed because the schools have more kids in the classes because the industry's here, and you know, Rifle's economy is growing, but now it's got to deal with the new sewer plant and other impacts, and it'll argue that it's, for all the revenues it's seeing, it's got major expenses that it can't keep up with.